Well, good morning and welcome back to another episode of the Gold Country Miner. So this here behind me is the majestic South Fork of the Yuba River. And in some of my upcoming videos, I hope to be coming down here and doing a little bit of prospecting. But what I wanted to do in this video is take a moment to talk about the river and some of the considerations we need to have when coming to a place like this. So the Yuba River is in the heart of California's gold country. And over the last 170 years since the gold rush, this river has been through a lot. The 49ers dammed the river, they diverted it, they sent millions of tons of sand and silt down it through the hydraulic mining operations. They blew it apart with dynamite, polluted it with mercury and other heavy metals. This poor river has seen better days. Not to mention that this land was essentially stolen from the local American Indian tribes. The water was polluted, the vegetation was stripped, the river downstream from here was dredged heavily with big floating bucket line dredges. And essentially it was just torn apart. So now, fortunately for the river, and for all of us who enjoy it, this stretch is now protected with a wild and scenic status. The land through here is managed through a bunch of different agencies. There's the Bureau of Land Management, there's Tahoe National Forest, there's California State Parks, and there's patches of private land too. So now if you want to come down here and do some prospecting like I plan to, you need to familiarize yourself with the land status and the laws that pertain to that piece of land you're on. Now, most of this stretch of river is considered hands and pans only for gold prospecting. Now, I got a hold of my local BLM Field Office to kind of clarify that. And they advised me that using some basic hand tools, light duty tools that fit within the perimeter of your gold pan is acceptable. And that can be considered hands and pans only. Now, I'm not sure if that applies to the state parks or some of the other land that's managed up here. But as far as BLM goes, those rules apply here. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hands and pans only? Those restrictions are pretty tight. That's California again doing its thing, you know, taking everybody's fun away. But those regulations are there for good reason. There's a huge variety of wildlife and plants and insects and aquatic creatures that all call this Yuba River Canyon home. And we need to be mindful about taking care of all of those. And we also need to be sensitive about protecting any indigenous sites that may be along the river. This river is also enjoyed by a huge variety of people that come down here. You've got your families coming out to enjoy a Saturday. You've got your hikers, your swimmers, your mountain bikers. You got your fishermen. You got your skinny dippers and your rock skippers. There's the pipe smokers and the weed tokers. There's bird watchers, sightseers. You've got your seasonal trimmigrants coming in. You got your meditators and your flatulators. There's the daydreamers, and then there's the therapeutic screamers. Now that's a true story. I saw this lady laying out on a rock, just screaming at the top of her lungs for a good 10-15 minutes, just letting it all out. There's the no-undies and the hippie grungies. You got the folks that just seem to live in the parking lot out of their car. And I'm not sure that you're really supposed to do that. And we can't forget the soul searchers and the artists. You've got your rafters and your kayakers. You got your drank too many Coors Lights, yackers. You got your rednecks. You got your city folk coming up from the bay to escape the heat for a day. There's the exercisers, the dog walkers, the gibberish talkers. And then there's the sunbathers and the actual bathers who bring their shampoo and a bar of soap along with them. And then there's the nudists, which you can classify into several different groups. You got your modest nudists who just kind of go out there real far where nobody can see. But then you got your booby danglers and your weenie wagglers. You've got the people who show up in groups of 3 or 4 and all hang out together. And then you got the guy who walks right up to you, pops his foot up on a rock right next to you with his nug pouch dangling down, almost touching your gold pan, and just wants to peek in there and see what kind of flakes you found. So yeah, the river is enjoyed by all, and us gold miners and throwback 49ers, we ought to take care of the place and make sure that all the plants and animals, all the insects, all the invertebrates, all the aquatic creatures, and all the indigenous sites are protected so that they'll stay beautiful and serene for years to come. So make sure to research the land you're on, know what rules apply, know what equipment you can and can't use, and always try to fill in your holes at the end of the day. Now with that said, I'm gonna head back home, go down to the barn, and I'm gonna put together a nice little custom kit of tools that will meet the requirements for hands and pans only on the stretch of river that I hope to be working here in the coming videos. So one of my favorite tools and the most versatile is the GAD pry bar. But the trouble is, it's too big. It doesn't fit in the pan, so it doesn't meet the hands and pans criteria. Too big, doesn't fit. The first project is going to be to turn this old cat's paw nail puller into a miniature version of that pry bar. So let's get started. Perfect. And then there's this little guy. He already fits in the pan. Thanks, Two Toes. You make a nice product. So there we go. A nice little kit of basic hand tools that fits within a 14-inch gold pan. Now, if you enjoyed this episode of the Gold Country Miner, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. That way you can keep getting more of these glorious videos in the future. Thanks for watching.